Number 13. There are 4 contenders for student council president. The table shows the number of votes each candidate received. So the 4 contenders are Jorge, Omar, Scarlett, and Grace. And the candidates, each person got to vote, each student got to vote, and they divided the votes between boys and girls to show how each group voted. So we can tell that 65 boys voted for Jorge. 85 boys voted for Omar. 50 girls voted for Omar. 35 girls voted for Grace. And then they had given us the totals. So there were 280 boys who voted, 220 girls. That's a total of 500 kids. And Jorge got 110, Omar got 135, Scarlett 160, and Grace 95. So it looks like Scarlett won by popular vote. Based on the table, which statement is true? And they're asking me about how the girls voted and how the boys voted. So to organize this, I drew myself some tables, and that's how I'm going to show you. You don't have to do it this way. It was just the way that made sense to me. So if you want to do it this way, you need to draw yourself a line, then another line, and then some columns. So we have 1, there's 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, and 4 columns. And they don't have to be perfect. We're just using this to organize our thinking a little bit. And I'm going to list my candidates. So we have Jorge, Omar, Scarlett, and Grace. And I don't want to have to draw this twice. I know you can't do this. So if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that and make another one of these. So we want 2 of those just alike. Because in one of them, we're going to look at the boys. And in the other one, we're going to look at the girls. So if you need to pause the video and draw this out, go ahead and do that. All right, the table tells me that there are 280 boys total. And there are 220 girls total. So the boys, let me just make a note here, there were 280 total. And the girls, there were 220 total. So I can tell here that more boys voted than did girls. Now, the table also tells me that 65 boys voted for Jorge. So I'm going to say 65 out of the 280 voted for Jorge. 85 out of the 280 voted for Omar. 70 out of the 280 voted for Scarlett. And 60 out of the 280 voted for Grace. And I'm just getting those numbers off of that table. For the girls, we know that 45 girls voted for Jorge. We know that 50 girls voted for Omar. So we could say that among the girls, Omar was more popular than Jorge, but not a lot more. But Scarlett got 90 votes, almost half of the votes. So Scarlett was very popular with the girls. And Grace got 35 out of the 220. So I have just broken out the votes over the totals for each group. And then with my calculator, I'm going to come back and calculate my percentages, because all of my answer choices are talking about percentages. You see this word in here over and over. So it's telling me you need to calculate your percentages. So to do that, for the boys 65 over 280, you're going to do 65 divided by 280. And that will come out to about 23%. And I'm going to leave the percent sign off because I'm out of room. 85 divided by 280 is about 30%. 70 divided by 280 is 25%. And 60 divided by 280 is about, is that 60? Yes, 21%. So if you look at the boys' votes, just the boys, who won among the boys? Omar got the highest percentage for the boys, and he got 30%. So now let's calculate the percentages for the girls. 45 divided by 220, 20% of the girls voted for Jorge. 50 divided by 220, 23% voted for Omar. 90 divided by 220, 41% voted for Scarlett. And 35 divided by 220, 16% voted for Grace. So if we look at the girls' votes, we can see that Scarlett won in this group. She won quite resoundingly. She won by a lot in this group. So now let's look at our questions and see which one fits. Based on the table, which statement is true? A higher percentage of girls voted for Omar. That's not true. The highest percentage of girls voted for Scarlett. A higher percentage of boys voted for Grace. That's not true. The highest percentage for the boys went to Omar. A higher percentage of girls voted for Jorge. Nope. The highest percentage of girls voted for Scarlett. A higher percentage of boys voted for Jorge. No. A higher percentage of girls voted for Scarlett. And that is the one that's true. In my experience, if you have to make a guess on this type of question, go with one, either the last one or the one right before it. Because usually the correct answer on this type of question, in my experience, will be one of those last two choices. Another way to do it, if you get this and you're running short on time, start with the last one and then work your way back up the line. And you'll usually find your answer in one of these two. Just a tip that has worked for me. I can't promise you that it will always work, but if you have to make a guess, if I have to make a guess, I'm going to pick one of those two, and it's usually the last one.